Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game of Tho versus Labyrinth. This game taking place here on Tide Hunters 1.2. Tho, or Samdan, or egg in this instance. I shouldn't it be 3 eggs. Anyways, Tho spawning as the blue human on the top left-hand side of Tide Hunters. Meanwhile, going up against the undead Labyrinth, spawning as in the yellow trunks. Wow, getting my words all tied up, trying to get into the flow of things and still taking care of other things that I need a little bit later. Anyways, let's go ahead and break things down in this 1v1 matchup. Undead versus human overall still favors a lot of undead, I believe. It's just that, well, we've been focusing on a lot of those games where human has been able to start overcoming. Before, it almost felt like a foregone conclusion that undead was going to win in a human versus undead matchup, but how close could human get it really? Now we're starting to see that the game is much more of a coin flip at the higher levels. We are going to be opening things up. There's a ghoul. It is going to be a lich first for Labyrinth, going up against an archmage first here by Tho. Lich versus Archmage in a 1v1 matchup. Lich will most likely be going for that, well, Dark Ritual as that second ability, try to translate into a bit more mana, and then perhaps get the Death Knight as that second hero as well. Death Knight being that second hero still provides plenty of healing, and because the Death Knight is still a strong hero with a decent amount of hit points, even though he is the second hero, he is not going to be well targeted all that easily. We are looking at that Lich perhaps going to be picking up a Rod of Necromancy, making its way out, and this game will be getting underway. Meanwhile, one footman. Wow, that first footman runs into a creep camp to try and engage that rock golem, pulls back, and now we are fighting up against that forest troll high priest. Forest troll high priest will take quite a bit of damage. Footman should be, well, retreating back. No, footman actually doing a little bit of scouting now. Well, yeah, see, my microphone. Kids playing with the microphones, or my youngest child playing with the microphones here. Gonna go ahead and finish off this rock golem. The forest troll still engaging. Second water elemental now being dropped down as well, as the archmage does get to level 2, picking up Boots of Quel'The Lost, a not very useful item. Quickly just gonna most likely be selling that anyways. Archmage off to the, or coming across to the other side here, perhaps going to try and clear out some more creep camps. And oh, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who used their Amazon Prime subscription to sub the channel while, well, and not really posting any notifications for it. It does definitely help me out. Thank you very much. Actually, I think it was the first time I've ever hit my sub goal, at least for a couple of days. So thank you once again. Meanwhile, off to the north side here, Water Elemental going to go ahead and go after this Murloc, well, Snarecaster Creep Camp Militia now being transitioned over, as the Archmage is trying to put in pressure on a couple of ghouls. One skeletal minion, however, is keeping track of all of this. Are we going to see the Circlet of Nobility get cleaned up? No, we are not, as the Lich is already trying to set up an expansion as well. Big Frost Nova across all of those low hit point footmen, or slow moving footmen, as that footman is who's going to get taken down first. It looks as though the ghoul gets Dark Ritualed. All right, that's a little bit of a waste of mana, as the Dark Ritual depends solely on how much hit points is left. There's another. That was a no. That wasn't a Dark Ritual. One was a Dark Ritual. Another was a Ritual Dagger. So that Ritual Dagger used there to get healing across all of those other units. Footman down to 55 hit points. He's going to try and retreat back. Meanwhile, Militia now being called back over to finish off the remainder of this Murloc expansion creep camp. Both sides looking to perhaps set up expansions here. However, Undead faster out of the gates with that expansion. You can see that Haunted Gold Mine is nearly completed, and now Labyrinth will be forced to train up more Acolytes, delaying that tech to tier 2. All right, little bit of damage on that Tide Warrior right there. One or two more shots. Lich, well, are we going to see the Lich pick up? Yes, that Circlet of Nobility. This is going to be a big deal here. Perhaps getting a Frost Nova off onto all of those units. No, trying to finish off this one Peasant. If that Peasant does fall, level 3 will be given to that Lich, or I believe level 3, or it might be just enough. Yep, 25 experience, 3 experience, enough there for now level 2 Frost Nova. level 2 Frost Nova could become a very big problem, as well, level 2 Frost Nova will easily shut down many of these footmen early on in this game. And out comes the Lich here. Are we going to see a Frost Nova? There's low hit point footman in the back. Is it spotted? That is the question. Are we going to see that Frost Nova footman ends up getting cleaned up there? There goes a, I believe that was a Dark Ritual. Both sides fighting, as this school now going to be going up against this last footman here. All right, footman going to get taken down. Lich still has enough mana for another Frost Nova now, as they're both sides are engaging. Nerubian Tower trying to get in a little bit of slow, but there's just not enough units to try and fight back here. All right, Acolytes now trying to make their way over, perhaps getting a bit of repair, but Tho doing a great job really limiting the amount of damage here. Are we going to see another footman going to get taken down? Yes, we are. Lich is cleaning up all of these footmen. Acolytes trying to make its way over, perhaps get in some repairs as well, as the Acolytes do have better regeneration while on Blight. However, still taking bonus damage here. No Frost Nova coming in from the Lich. Not quite sure what this is about. Another footman going to get taken down. 3 of those footmen were actually standing relatively close together, and the Lich could have perhaps tried and save this Nerubian Tower if they had a slower attack. Meanwhile, off to the north here, Archmage going to go ahead and staff a teleportation back here and now protect his own expansion, perhaps by dropping a Water Elemental as well. Lich now across the map on the move again. Perhaps going to try and put some pressure onto some of these peasants. Low hit point peasant now trying to retreat back here, as we are looking at perhaps a bit of Frost Nova. There is another Dark Ritual there, but that is just denying experience and not really giving any big mana at all. More damage getting racked up. However, low hit point peasant looks like it will end up surviving. Lich continuing this fight back and forth, and that Lich is currently just low on mana again. Archmage with Boots of Speed will be able to get in front of this Lich here. Both sides still trying to fight and turn back around. The Gloves of Haste plus Claws of Attack plus 5 really dishing out damage, as LabyRinth now trying to set up this expansion again, or at least get up a Nerubian Tower to create a little bit of an outpost, even if it doesn't get completed. Water Elemental dropped, and well, nothing to attack here, as the Lich now retreating all the way back home. Looking at Tho. Tho is teching to tier 2. The expansion is now up and operational, and he is in a great spot here. And so far, though, we've seen LabyRinth do some questionable Dark Rituals, almost using Dark Ritual similar to how, similar to Dota, to try and deny experience more than anything else. And with that, well, he often doesn't have enough mana to actually get those attacks off, or Frost Novas off onto those footmen. Lich is staying at level 3 here, trying to go after this giant sea turtle creep camp. This is that was a perfect opportunity for a Frost Nova. Now going instead after the Archmage, trying to pressure the Archmage away, as the Lich gets another kill there. It is going to be Mantle of Intelligence trying to finish off more units. There's a Dark Ritual once again, as the Lich is going to try and head off to the north, pick up that item. It is, but now it is pretty much trapped into a corner. Is he going to be able to Frost Nova his way out of this tight spot? That is the question there. All right, one footman now down. Lich still trying to make its way back out. Looks like he's going to be able to slip through and now make its way down. All right, those Claws of Attack plus 5, getting in a little bit of additional damage across those units, plus a faster attack speed. Low hit point Ghoul going to be able to retreat all the way back. Low hit point Water Elemental down to dead, as it gives to level 4 now. Dark Ritual on a full hit point Ghoul, and that's what needed to be happening. Those Ghouls needed to look at the Lich, and well, the Lich needed to use full hit point Ghouls in order to get more of those level 2 Frost Novas off and then trade them efficiently. A lone Ghoul wasn't going to be altogether that helpful in many situations, and that Frost Nova would have done more damage overall. Lich is still sitting at level 4. We are getting up that Death Knight now, as the Ghouls are finishing off the remainder of this Snapper and Giant Sea Turtle creep camp. All right, little bit of damage still getting added in here. Are we going to see another Rod of Necromancy charge? Ghoul now trying to retreat back. There's that Rod of Necromancy, as the Death Knight is out on the battlefield. Acolyte getting cleaned up there. So it is 2 bases versus 1, as Tho now putting pressure onto this Tomb of Relics to try and remove that home field advantage. Acolytes coming back off of the gold mine to try and get in some repairs. Lich going to come back over, get off big Frost Nova across multiple units, and now trying to, finish off those units again and again. Are we going to see a Death Coil off onto that low hit point footman? 1 or 2 more shots should do it. There's a Frost Nova taking down a 2. Beautifully done there, as the Death Coil now saving that Lich. Both sides fighting while on Blight, and Tho has to be careful. He does not want to go up against multiple multiple units as both sides are engaging again. All right. All right, there's another Dark Ritual. Again, Lich going to be benefiting from some hit points and some mana. There's an Obsidian statue as the ghouls are now looking to lead the charge. Archmage will be staying at level 3 here. Meanwhile, Lich, Illusion, and other illusions still wandering around the map. This expansion, however, looking like a very well-established outpost. 3 guard towers with masonry upgrades already completed there, as we are now going into castle. Looks like it might be knights and flying machines. Coming back around, Death Knight, Obsidian statue now making their way off to the north here. We're looking at Ogre Magi. Well, perhaps going to try and engage, trying to engage as the Archmage is going to go ahead and show up and try and disrupt. Ogre Magi still coming back around here. Larger army and LabyRinth by far, but Tho is going to be able to perhaps try and get more units out here on the battlefield as it still has the economic advantage. More fighting getting underway. A couple of low hit point footmen could end up getting taken down. Obsidian statues trying to retreat all the way to the back, and so much pressure and focus onto the Obsidian statues now that, well, they could actually get taken down. Dark Ranger, third and final hero, now getting trained up here as the Mountain King trying to retreat back. We see plenty of, the Obsidian statues here, still no unholy aura, so the movement speed is not going to be near, and the natural recovery is not going to be that strong here, as the Dark Ranger needs to get in some, skeletal minion kills to open things up for that Lich. Lich at 186 mana wants to get in a little bit more. Obsidian statues just constantly getting focused by these enraged and, water elementals of the human army. All right, more damage coming back across. The Obsidian statue about to get taken down. Water elemental looks like it's going to be able to finish it off. It tries to get the death coil off, and LabyRinth was a split second late with that death coil transformation, and that was a big loss right there. That transformation, opening it up to more piercing damage from that water elemental, ends up getting shut down before the death coil's death nova, where the Death Knight's death coil could try and get that heal. Down to the south side here, Death Knight still wants to get in a decent amount of experience. He needs to get to level 2. Dark Ranger needs to get to level 2 to open up Silence. Silence, a great way to shut down that initial Stormbolt straight out of the gate, as that Null Warden may end up finishing off this ghoul. Nope, a little bit of an aggro change right there. Level 2 on that Death Knight. Dark Ranger starting to build up that lesser dark minion army, as we expected to see, as the Lich should be using dark rituals pretty consistently now to try and stay well topped out on mana. Orb of Corruption also picked up by that Lich, as the units now making their rounds around the map. There is still a big Frost Nova right there on that Marauder, big slow. All those units are now looking to retreat back, and in comes the engagement here on that Marauder now. Nightcrawlers also making their way over. A second Frost Nova being used across that tightly grouped pack of units, as the Lich, helps that Dark Ranger get to level 2. Meanwhile, human side, we are looking at the Archmage, Staff of Sanctuary, Paladin out on the battlefield alongside that Mountain King, who has not chosen a second ability yet. No Bash, no Thunderclap, just continuing to clear out these creep camps, as we are seeing a transition into Knights and perhaps flying machines. Flak cannons will be at the ready for those destroyers if destroyers try to challenge those Knights. The big question may be whether or not that Lich can get to level 5, and at level 5 with that level 3 Frost Nova, could overpower the healing ability of that Paladin and also the cooldown of that Staff of Sanctuary. Orb of Fire picked up by the Archmage as well. We're looking at the units trying to catch the other opponent off guard, and we still no Stormbolt to try and force an engagement at all, as the Death Knight now trying to head up that, this slight up ground here, and here we go, little bit of damage coming back the other way. Lich is maxed out on mana, as the Obsidian statue, heading back down across here. Banshees now coming across, so LabyRinth already one step ahead, has Banshees with mastery training, and we could end up looking at well, at possession. Anti-magic shell possession, both very strong abilities. All of these coming in from the Temple of the Damned as the Banshees are slowly getting a bit more mana. Giant Sea Turtle going to get cleaned up here. Healthstone picked up by the... No, another one, a Mana Stealing picked up by the Death Knight. Death Knight is going to have plenty of mana, as he's going to be constantly trying to clean or deny mana from that Archmage. Now remember that Wanda Mana Stealing actually heals up a little bit more now. It is about 100. It's a 260 point swing, as opposed to back in the day when it was just a 200, a big boulder to the head for that Dark Ranger, as both sides looking to engage here. Lich will get to level 5, and that is going to be a big heal, a big damage spike. Odd levels, very big for overall, as the Lich now gets up to level 5 there. Death Knight also gets up to level 3. Undead in a very strong spot, 5-3-3 going up against 4-2-2. Still no expansion coming across from LabyRinth, as LabyRinth is now on the smaller army side, 57 compared to 73, but the overall army population is about the same, but we could see a switch in that as the Banshees are lining up their shots. All right, little bit of damage, a little bit of problems. Banshees now trying to make their way back over. Level 1 Unholy Aura doesn't give enough movement speed to the Banshees to try and catch up. Well, no, I take it back. That is one possession already. 59 supply compared to 69. Both sides still fighting their way through, as the Death Knight is still leading the charge here. Are we perhaps going to see some more possessions? That is the question, as the Knight of LabyRinth is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Archmage falls at level 4. Paladin falls at level 2. And now the Mortar teams are trying to deal with the Banshees, as both sides are engaging again and again. All right, Banshees now using their auto attacks here. Lich now in trouble, down to 149 hit points. He's trying to back away, as the Mountain King does have enough for a Stormbolt. And here we are. Anti-Magic Shell is going to go ahead and protect. There's the Death Coil. Stormbolt onto the Death Knight instead. Death Knight now down to 91 hit points. Uses the Health Stone in time, as both sides still fighting their way through. All right, Mountain King about to fall as well, and LabyRinth finding exactly the right opportunity to try and clean things up, but he's now down to 35 supply. 35 supply compared to 55. Samdan or Tho has a large amount of gold, or had a large amount of gold, to try and change things, or trying to rebuild that army. Death Knight really looking to overstay his welcome here. Knight down to 115 hit points. He will have to retreat back down to 30 hit points. And now, well, a lot of work for that Obsidian statue to do. All right. Big hero level advantage now for LabyRinth getting getting a lot more experience, taking down all 3 enemy heroes, but at the same time, in the same way, LabyRinth down to 42 supply as well. The one benefit is now no longer being in low upkeep. No longer being in low upkeep does have a little bit of benefit there. This gold mine is haunted, but just now started mining away. This Knight did run all the way down, but this Knight does not benefit from, blight, such as his other partners in the army. 47 supply compared to 76. Lich now making its rounds out. Death Knight, Dark Ranger going out and about as well. What is going to end up happening? Lich now making its way off to the north here, perhaps going to try and shut down. And here we are. There's a Frost Nova. A little bit of damage already, as they're going to be going into an engagement again. Death Knight, triple Obsidian statues. We don't see any destroyers as of yet, so those flying machines have not been of any real use. Meanwhile, Tho is attempting to get to, higher levels on these units. Meanwhile, on the bottom left-hand side of the map, we see Staff of Teleportation and, siege engines coming down here, and this is going to be a big shutdown here. The siege engines are going to be more than enough to deal with this haunted gold mine. Meanwhile, a battle without the Archmage here. Mountain King with the Thunderclap trying to slow things down, as the Banshees are looking to shoot down those flying machines. Banshees do get a little bit of bonus damage across that heavy armor. Death Knight now chasing after the Mountain King. Are we going to see a Staff of Sanctuary? Yes, we are. Units are trying to retreat away. Scroll of Town Portal heading back. No Frost Novas. Nothing to try to kill any of these. Nope. Took it back. Mortar team quickly taken down right there. 2 siege engines now retreating back away, as those siege engines do cause a bit of problems. We're going to be going into an engagement, as we see a Abomination joining in on the fight here. I don't see Disease Cloud as the Siege Engine with 0 armor because of that Orb of Corruption. Coming back across the other side, one Water Elemental still poking away at those Acolytes, denying that precious experience as the Death Knight now looking to try and finish off this Siege Engine again. Death Knight quickly picks up, I'm not quite sure what, it picked up a Dorada Necromancy. We're going to see some more Dark Rituals for that Lich, as that Lich does have some pretty nasty attacks. Big audience, I see. All right, yeah. Well, thank you for the raid. Had to have been back to WarCraft. I don't know why I don't get raid notifications, but yeah, thank you for whoever raided back to WarCraft. Most likely the candidate there. All right, Siege Engine looking to retreat back, spots that there is still no expansion here as the Death Knight gets to level 4. LabyRinth has been running off of one base and has been somehow had the hero level advantage, but well, we're looking at the Archmage Mountain King starting to close out that gap just a little bit. Death Knight, however, once it gets to level 5, well, healing is going to be much, much easier as the Spellbreakers, Riflemen, Mortar teams well, making their rounds out again. We're looking at 58 over 60 supply, only 2 minutes of mining left at the main base of LabyRinth. LabyRinth needs the way to try and close out this game. Quick damage onto the Mortar team as the Mortar teams are now trying to, well, shock and awe those Banshees in that back line. More engagement. Staff of Sanctuary saving unit there as the Abomination, well, pretty much not afraid of any magic damage whatsoever. Spellbreakers in that frontline spot. Low hit point Obsidian statue still somehow in this engagement here as we see a big thunderclap coming across the board. Archmage should be able to easily shut down some of these Obsidian statues. Stormbolt onto the Lich. Lich is stunned even though he didn't take any damage from that Stormbolt as both sides fighting their way through. Lich continuing to fight back around. Lich does have a potion of lesser invulnerability, hasn't used it as of yet as both sides are still fighting their way through here. Lich down to 213 hit points, gets a Death Coil heal as that low hit point Obsidian statue I'm sure is frustrating anyone who normally focus fires. There you are. Archmage going to go ahead and shut down that Obsidian statue there. Stormbolt back onto the Lich. Lich is in a little bit of trouble. Still has a potion of lesser invulnerability as the Death Knight getting into harm's way. Death Knight still has a wand of mana stealing after all this time. Could shut down the Mountain King's mana as we see a Stormbolt go down onto the Death Knight. Death Knight still has plenty as the Paladin going to, well, be able to barely stay alive. Divine Shield and Staff of Sanctuary in a time as the Death Knight gets away ever so barely. Couple of Obsidian statues, however, left behind, and Tho does not clean them up. No cleanup on dual Obsidian statues. That is 6 supply that is able to simply walk back home. Even though Tho does have the advantage in terms of, well, should have the economic advantage now as the gold mines are starting to run out. Lich on the move here. Death Knight, Death Coil. Gonna heal back up pretty much to full as the Lich wants to try and figure out some easy targets, perhaps take down the Mortar teams here, but the engagements are still a little bit tough. Obsidian statue low on hit points in the back, still moving back and forth. We are looking at another expansion up by Tho, and this cannon tower and the masonry upgrades just making it difficult for LabyRinth to, well, be able to shut down any of the expansions here. Abominations do now have that Disease Cloud. Disease Cloud, however, doesn't last forever and a day, so it won't kill off any of these units pretty much out of combat. Meanwhile, more engagements getting underway. Abomination in the frontline spot. There's a nice little thunderclap there, slowing things down. LabyRinth is up against the ropes. He's trying to, well, find a favorable position. He's going up against an uphill battle. 80 supply compared to 50, and this is not looking good. Lich needed to kill some of those Mortar teams in the back and get in some big Frost Novas. There's one bit of damage trying to go after all of those units, and we're going to see one coil there. Dark Ranger finishing off more units. Battling on both sides still here. Spellbreakers now trying to make their way over. Dark Ranger down to 200 hit points. No Death Coil. It looks like it will get taken down. Spellbreakers able to swarm there as the Staff of Sanctuary saves another unit. All right, Lich still trying to go back around. Are we going to see another Frost Nova? Yes, we are. More damage still racking up. There goes another unit, but without those skeletal minions popping up out of the ground, well, it is not helping that Lich nearly enough. Lich now has still plenty of mana to go, so perhaps going to be able to finish off a couple of these water elementals or these other remaining units. Needs to go after the Paladin or Mountain King, but the Paladin and Mountain King seem to be strong enough as the transition into Spellbreakers has really shut down the Lich's ability to focus down any of these units. Magic immune units really causing problems as the Abominations are simply just running out of hit points to act as that front line. Level 6 now on that Lich. Both sides still fighting their way through. We are looking at Frost Armor now. Frost Armor onto the Death Knight, perhaps adding a little bit of armor, but those Spellbreakers are ranged units, so they do not get slowed down whatsoever. All right, Obsidian Statue, very low on hit points. One Fireball from the Archmage should shut it down. There's another Staff of Sanctuary, and the dual Staff of Sanctuaries of Human really denying experience for the Lich and that Death Knight. Abomination about to fall here, and it looks like LabyRinth, although he put an A for effort game here, may fall up just a bit short as the Death Knight and the Lich are retreating without any ways of really healing. That Obsidian Statue a little bit out of position. Lich now trying to make its way back over. The Obsidian Statue going to get cleaned up easily here as the Lich gets, well, a last-minute heal from the Death Knight, but the Death Knight's Death Coil doesn't heal nearly as much. Scroll of Town Portal. Mountain King could end up getting taken down, and no, does not get taken down. Lich could almost get taken down. No. Mountain King escapes away at 41 hit points. Death Knight and Lich escape away in in the low hundreds as well. Who is Egg? Egg is Tho. So if you guys didn't know, Tho, his name actually stands for 3 eggs. So I thought I thought people watching my channel would know that Tho and Egg were almost synonymous. Used to be 3 eggs. Now only 1 egg is left. I guess the other 2 eggs broke. On the bottom left-hand side now, we see Tho cleaning, having that expansion here, having that expansion there, and one more off to the north. And with that, LabyRinth knew the writing was on the wall. Resource difference being the main indicator here. Mining nearly twice as much gold as his opponent, at nearly twice as much, but the gold loss to upkeep, a very big difference there. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.